Welcome back to the Getting Started Guide lighting series using total illumination. In this video, we're going to start working with Lumberyard's lighting system in order to render our scene in a variety of ways. Lumberyard's real-time global illumination utilizes a series of voxels to calculate diffuse bounce of the sun and place light sources. This is going to be a fairly quick one. We should be through with this material in about 3 minutes. By the end of this video, you should have a better understanding of how to use the total illumination system quickly and with the best aesthetic result. Let's get to it. So first up, we will have to access the total illumination setting. These can be found in the roll-up bar, and as before, we are planning to move this to another location within the editor. Once we do,
Thanks for the follow, man. Let's try it again. Well, guess we'll skip this one. that's a bummer. Video's useless for us. Let's try the next one.
Welcome back to the Getting Started Guide lighting series, The Time of Day Editor. In this
Let's just get a coffee first.
video, we're going to continue our work with the lighting system by diving into the Time of Day Editor. The Time of Day Editor is an extremely versatile tool that allows us to change the position of the sun, script or animate day and night cycles, and also gives us access to a whole host of lighting and environmental properties. This is going to be a fairly quick one. We should be through with this material in about 3 minutes. By the end of this video, you should have a better understanding of how to use the Time of Day Editor to customize your lighting effects for a given level and tweak the results of the global illumination system. Let's get to it. For this exercise, we will want to change the time of day to a specific time via the editor. First, we need to open the Time of Day Editor. To do this, navigate to Tools, Other, Time of Day. At the bottom of the interface, you will see a section called Timeline. Click and drag the handle to see the sun change positions and change the lighting in your level. The default setting is set to about 12 noon. For this project, we will be setting the time to 4:30 p.m. To do this, go to the Time section in the Time of Day Editor and manually set your time to 4:30 p.m. This should give you a nice sunset time for the scene. Since we changed the time, it's best practice to re-render your environmental probe map to match this time of day lighting. In the Entity Outliner, select the Environment Probe entity that we created previously. In the Entity Inspector, under the Environment Probe component, navigate to the Cube Map Generation section. Since we changed the time, it's best practice to re-render your environmental probe map to match this time of day lighting. In the Entity Outliner, select the Environment Probe entity that we created previously. In the Entity Inspector, under the Environment Probe component, navigate to the Cube Map Generation section and click on the Add Bounce button. It's best to make sure that your cube map is rendering at the right times of day to get the best visual quality from the global illumination renders. Small hour-to-hour increments aren't as noticeable in the visual differences that occur with cube maps. But when you compare a 12 p.m. with a 12 a.m. map, you can see a big difference in the types of lighting you get from the probe's cube map. Setting the time of day, global illumination, and cube maps are vital to ensuring that most of your light is rendering to your desires. But blanket lighting such as this does not give us the detail lighting we want from some of the meshes we brought in earlier in the process. In the next segment, let's take a look at using lighting entities and how we can use them to add point light to our lamps. Welcome back to the Getting Started Guide lighting series, Creating Light Sources. In this video, we're going to continue our work with the lighting system by creating our first light source using component entities. While global illumination and the Time of Day Editor give us control over lighting for our entire scene, entity light sources allow us to add lighting to individual elements, such as meshes and VFX. This is going to be a fairly quick one. We should be through with this material in about 4 minutes. By the end of this video, you should have a better understanding of how to bring light sources into your level and propagate them throughout your scene. Let's get to it. So first up, let's go ahead and create a light source for the lamps in the maze. The lamps currently look pretty cool, but they don't cast any light into the level. In the perspective viewport, navigate near any of your lampposts and right-click to create entity. In the Entity Inspector, name the new entity you placed Lamplight. Still in the Entity Inspector, click the Add Component button and choose the projector light found under the rendering component list. Components also exist for an area light and a point light, but for this tutorial, we'll go ahead and use the projector light. In the perspective viewport, use the rotate tool to rotate the lamplight entity so that it points down towards the ground. If you cannot see the lamplight FOV, go ahead and turn on the helpers icon to make that appear. Next, use the move tool to position the lamplight entity under
That looks like about the right angle.
under the rendering component list. Components also exist for an area rendering component list. You placed Lamplight. Still in the Entity, they don't cast any light into the level. Entity Inspector, name the new entity still in the Entity Inspector and choose the projector light found under the rendering such as meshes and VFX.
Wrong button.
Next, use the move tool. Go ahead and turn on the helpers icon to make that appear. Next, use the move tool to position the lamplight entity under one of the lampposts in your scene. In the Entity Inspector, we will want to use the following settings in your Projector Light Properties panel. Color, R162, G198, and B255.
There's two there.
Diffuse multiplier set to 15. Specular multiplier set to 3. Max distance set to 20. Attenuation bulb size set to 0.5. And FOV set to 80. And B 255. Diffuse multiplier set to 15. Specular multiplier set to 3. Max distance set to 20. Attenuation bulb size set to 0.5. And FOV set to 80. Experiment with these different settings to find a brightness, color, and size that you like. Now, the light is positioned under the lamp the way that we like it, and that's all set up. We could duplicate this object all around the level, but instead, it is time to save that selected override again. In the Entity Outliner, move the lamplight entity into the lamp parent slice that you have been working near, and tuck it into one of the lamp entities. Now that the lamplight is in one of your lamp entities, under the lamp parent group, right-click on the lamp entity and select Save Selected Overrides Advanced. Just like before, in the Just like before, in the Save Selected Overrides panel, make sure that your lamplight entity is added to the changes, and that the target slice is set to the Maze Lamp 01 slice. Next, click the Save Selected Overrides button. Once you have pushed the changes to the slice, all of the lamp posts in your scene should now be casting light. You can press Ctrl-S to save your progress, and then press Ctrl-G to run the level. And voila! All of our lamp entities now cast light. From here, we can go into each lamp entity and tweak the properties to our liking. Change some colors here, adjust the FOV, whatever you like. Now that we have our lighting in, we are ready to export our EXE so that we can share our creation with the world. Let's get all of that set up in our next and final segment. Welcome back to the Getting Started Guide, Final Steps, Setting Up the UI.
Alright, some messed up lights. What else can we do? Alright, let's learn how to compile this stuff then.
And exporting. In this tutorial, we will be finalizing our level by pulling in our UI slice to get our start screen set up and exporting our level into an exe file that can be shared with your friends. This is going to be a pretty quick one. We should be through this content in about 4 minutes. When we are done, you should have a clear understanding of how to set up your UI and export your game so that it can be played independent of the editor. Let's get to it. So from the asset browser, navigate to Game, Slices, GSG, and drag the Maze UI slice into the viewport.
Slices, GST.
Next, we'll need to align the slice correctly in the level. With the UI Maze Slice parent entity selected in the outliner, activate the helpers icon to make the entity icons for either Maze Wall Interior or Maze Wall Exterior slices appear. Click on the Align to Object button and align the UI Maze Slice with one of those parent entities. You may need to unlock the entity in order to get the Align to Object button to work. Next, let's move the title screen camera
Sitting there, okay. Now, what the hell was out here? Huh. Must have been part of the Maze UI.
slice with one of those parent entities. You may need to unlock the entity in order to get the Align to Object button to work. Next, let's move the title screen camera to a position that you like for the start of the game. Select the Maze Camera Start Screen entity
That's what I saw.
found in the parent entity's UI Maze Slice Maze UI Start Screen. In the upper left of the perspective viewport, there is a text that reads Perspective. Right-click on this text and select the Camera, Maze Camera Start Screen. You are now looking at the level from the Start Screen camera point of view. Use the perspective viewport navigation controls to position the camera in the place that you would like to show the game level off when the title screen loads. Once you have this camera in a position that you like, navigate to the same drop-down and change back to your default camera. Next, we need to set the Maze Camera entity to the starting camera for the UI. To accomplish this, select the Camera Manager slice in the outliner.
Whoa, slow down, buddy. Okay. But maybe that's not what I want. Let's see now. Well, we don't want to show them. Yeah, okay. Let's go like this. Let's go there. All right. Now what?
Off when the title screen loads. Once you have this camera in a position that you like, navigate to the same drop-down and change back to your default camera. Next, we need to set the Maze camera entity to the starting camera for the UI. To accomplish this, select the Camera Manager slice in the outliner, and then take a look at the Lua script component for Camera Manager. In the Camera
Whoa. Ah, there you are. The script.
Manager component properties, click the picker icon, and then select Maze Camera Start Screen Entity in the outliner. Under the initial camera tag, enter Maze Camera Start Screen. To see your title screen and test your camera, press Ctrl-G. With that all set up,
Whoa. How do we unmaximize? It's too bad my little UI ball doesn't follow me properly. Oh well.
we are ready to export our game into an exe file. With your level file open, from the main menu, select Game, Export to Engine. With your level file now exported, we can load the level from the starter game launcher.exe. From the same folder that you're running the editor exe from, select and start the starter game launcher.exe.
Alright. Let's see if I can find that. I'll do that on my... I'm not going to give away all my files. I don't understand these projects. So where is that? Where is that? Found it. But it's not in there because... Not there either because it's in the project folder.
game, export to engine. With your level file now exported, we can load the level from the starter game launcher.exe. From the same folder that you're running the editor exe from, select and start the starter game launcher.exe. You will see the game window for starter game appear on screen. Press the tilde key in the upper left corner of your keyboard to call up the console for the game. Type in R underscore.
Ooh, where the hell is this compile to? I see. Maybe it's in. Nope. Like, seriously. To where? Searching. Nothing. Okay. It's in 141. It should be. Oh man. Dev 141. Starter game launcher exe modified. Says today, but doesn't show today. Game. Successfully exported. Oh. Okay. Because it's part of the project. I don't understand all this yet. So confusing. Launching, maybe. I think it's a project within the EXE or level. Right. Map. So I need to find my map, which for the level drives me to my first level.
Initializing. Emergency protocol drift tool in effect. Searching for potential host entity. Connection established.
That's my level. That's my map. Let's go check these lights in here and see if the timer works. Daylight is pretty cool. Sparks. Mission complete. Get me out of here. Yeah, that worked. Okay.
You will see the game window for Starter Game appear on screen.
This is a project.
Press the tilde key in the upper left
EXE
corner
for
of
the
your
project.
keyboard to call up the console for the game. Type in r_display info equals 0 to toggle off the display information.
That
Then
helped.
type in map, my first level, and press enter to pull up your level. Congratulations! You have just created your first game in Lumberyard. Now, we've covered a lot of information in this series, but we have by no means covered every tool, workflow, or option available in Lumberyard. Explore more of the lighting system. Use the particle editor to add unique particles to your level. Bring in your own assets. The possibilities are only limited by your imagination. Join us on our forums for more information or to reach out with questions and feedback. We are excited to see what you will create.
Well,
Welcome back to the Getting Started Guide animation series, Intro to the Animation Editor. In this video, we're going to enjoy that new tool smell by ripping open the new animation editor and breaking down the UI so that we can begin working. The animation editor gives us more precise control over our animation cycles when compared to tools from previous iterations of the engine, allowing us to blend animation states with nodes, bind animations to an input, and even blend animations with masks without ever having to touch a line of code. This is going to be a fairly quick video. We should be through this content in about 4 minutes. When we're done, we should have a clear understanding of what we are looking at when we open the animation editor. Let's get to it. So to start off, we must, of course, open the animation editor. If you're running a previous version of Lumberyard, you may need to activate the eMotionFX gem through the project configurator. Our community manager, Amonster, has a video on how to do exactly that, and the link to that video can be found in the description below.
well, I guess we're gonna do that. Good thing they didn't put the link in the description as he just said. That's so hurting. Come on. Alright, let's go for this playlist. See this one.
Hey guys, welcome to this video on how to launch Lumberyard's new animation system called Emotion Effects. I'm your host and community manager, Monster, and I'm psyched for this video, so let's get started. Alrighty guys, so quick side note, Emotion Effects was first introduced as preview in Lumberyard Beta 1.11. So for the audiences watching this video, you won't find this tool if you have an outdated version of Lumberyard, i.e. any version less than 1.11. So if you need assistance in downloading, installing, and configuring the latest Lumberyard environment, definitely check out the Lumberyard tutorial site by going to gamedev.amazon.com/forums/tutorials. With that said, let's get right into launching Emotion Effects with Lumberyard. Alright guys, so before we open up the Lumberyard editor, we have to enable the Emotion Effects gem, which is found in your project configurator. So let's go ahead and do that now. Go to your Lumberyard install directory, and for myself I have 1.11 right here. Go right into that, click into dev folder, and then go to Tools, LMBR Setup, Win because I'm using Windows, and then I'm super lazy so I'm just going to click on one of these files and type in Project Configurator, and that should pop up, and then I'll hit Enter.
Or you could go in your Start menu if you're on Windows. Like,
There we go, we have the Project Configurator up.
stupid.
Go ahead and look for the default project you have set for the project you're working on right now. In my case, I have Starter Game. You can use any other project as long as you have the enabled gems links available to you. And yeah, you should be fine. Alright, cool. So let's go ahead and click on Enable Gems. This should bring us to the gems library. And instead of scrolling, I'm going to type in Emotion Effects right up here in this search bar.
Ooh,
That'll bring
that's
up the gems, the gem that I'm looking for Emotion Effects animation. And you can see it's not enabled, so let's go ahead and enable that right now. And then hit save. Of course, always read the red text, because they're super important and can save you a lot of time in debugging things. In this case, it's changing settings for code and assets gems will require a rebuild of your project. So let's go ahead and do that right now.
Let's do
I'm going to
this
bring
so
up
we know what
my
we're
command prompt right here, run it as administrator,
doing. No.
and navigate to my Lumberyard install directory. So here is 111, and it's in a different drive. So I'm going to say D and CD for change directory, D, Amazon, Lumberyard, and then 1.11, then dev. Cool. Once you've navigated to that dev folder, go ahead and use the command lmbr underscore it's underscore waf space configure. Hit enter and all the green text should come out. If you see yellow text, it's totally fine. They're just warnings. Unless this process is breaking, then we should probably not worry about the warning signs. And yeah, just go ahead and give it a couple of moments, and it should generate some of the files for us to then rebuild our project. Alright, so now we're back and the process is successfully done, as you can see in the green text here.
I do want to check that out, but what I want to do is see. I want to turn this one back off.
And so there is one more step that we have to do before we open up Lumberyard, and that is to build our game project. And you can do this by using the same command prompt and typing in the following command. So the command is lmbr_waf space build _win _x64 and then _vs 2015. This is the flag for Visual Studio. I'm using Visual Studio 2015, so I'm using VS 2015 for my command. If you're using Visual Studio 2013, then use VS 2013. Cool _profile. Space. -p and then space game. Enter. Alright, so yeah, just let that run through and we should be another step closer to Lumberyard. I'm going to hit the cut button right here and just come back right after all this is done. So we're not wasting time on this video. Cool, we'll see you in a bit. Alrighty guys, so I'm back, and as you can see my build is successfully finished. It took around 10 minutes and 22 seconds, which means we can finally open the Lumberyard editor. And to do that, you can go right back to your Lumberyard install directory, go right into dev, and then I'm using Visual Studio 2015. So my bin64 folder is going to be bin64 vc140. If you're using Visual Studio 2013, it's going to be bin64 vc120 right here. Go ahead and go into that. And then I'm just going to type in editor. Because, you know, much quicker this way. And I'll go ahead and pause it.
Alright, well that's going to take a while to build. So let's take a little intermission.